Are you ready to be unleashed and unstoppable?
Are you ready to experience a breakthrough and step into your next level of leadership?
Living a life of power, purpose, and possibility on your own terms, unapologetically.
This podcast is for discovering how to play big, how to be unleashed and unstoppable.
Through wiring inner success at the source as you step into your full potential as a wildly ambitious leader.
We are
Alexanne Carter and
Carol Register. We are certified Master Neurocoaches and the founders of Unleashed and Unstoppable You.
We're best known for being confidence-boosting, neurohacking, productivity, and wealth experts.
And for high-achieving leaders, visionaries, and entrepreneurs.
Now let's be unleashed and unstoppable.
Hey, everybody. Hey there. How are you? I'm so glad that you're with us today. And you are going to get some great information, which we are happy to share with you. We want to share with you too that we do have a program that is all about increasing your productivity and wealth without burnout, combined with the neuroscience of how your brain works so that you can have both the short-term wins and the long-term wins. It's not just about the temporary wins, which are important because we need that motivation, that reward, but it's about being able to sustain those over time and get unstuck and not be in our own way to really have what we want. If you think that's a good fit for you, what you want, we are having open cart right now. We've just completed a Win Your Day challenge, which we're going to talk to you about today, about ways to set yourself up for success on your journey to know that you are unleashed and unstoppable already. We're just going to unlock that, right? So, Alex Leanne, would you start us off with the amazing things that we're going to talk about today?
Yeah, so today it's all about diving into the 3 simple steps to increase your productivity and wealth without burnout. So these are 3 simple steps that we just ran our audience through during the Win Your Day event. And we wanted to come in here and kind of sum up a little bit the things that we spoke about to really be able to set yourself up for success. You know, on last week's episode, we really looked at how you can increase your wealth in 50 minutes a day. And we want to lean into supporting you in taking that a little step further and really looking at these 3 simple steps, which is setting your intention, making that commitment, and then getting into action to be able to create your results, right? Whatever that looks like in all areas of your life. So really leaning in today and looking at that intention, commitment, and action. I'll say it again, intention, commitment, and action. Do you show up every single day with your intention, with commitment, and getting into action? You will see how you will rapidly create your results when it comes to your productivity and your wealth. And this is why we love our Diamond Transformation program, because we are able to take you deeper and further in not just the principles of wealth and productivity, but also looking at the neuroscience behind being able to create clarity on what is important to you in that intention, creating that commitment, and then getting into action and having your brain work for you in order to help you create that success that we know that you're worthy of. And then we know that you have that deep down desire in you to create. And we want to be able to give you the proven neuroscience process to support you with that. So Carol, why don't we dive in and start off with what is intention? When we're working with our clients and we're looking at helping them get clarity on setting that intention for themselves to set themselves up for success, what is that? What are we helping our clients do when they're looking at setting that intention?
Oh, I would love to talk about this. This was huge for me to literally take the time out to set an intention. For me, I felt like I was living in a video game. I was living a life of default, but not a good one, where it was just the bombs dropped all the time, the obstacles. And it's not that I don't or you don't have obstacles now. It's just that we have the tools to be able to stay the course to building the reality, creating the realities that we want, the total success without the sacrifice, right? without leaving behind the relationships, leaving behind the health, having the revenue in our businesses, but our team's falling apart, or having a great strategy and business built and yet not having the revenue. I'm sick of all that sacrifice that I was stuck in, and the transformations have been huge. So with intention was discovering my want and my why. And that's what I want to ask you. What's your want and why do you want it? Because it's really important to have a clear picture for your brain. Neuroscience-wise, our brains will go to work for us. They will activate and kick in when we're instructing them and painting a picture for them. And that's the exciting part of setting an intention. It's laying out, what's your vision? What's important to you? What's important to you? It's really taking a step back, slowing down to speed up, and set that picture for your brain. Because our brains are always at work and they're always working to keep us safe. And this is all about training your brain to be successful and rewiring those limiting beliefs by removing them. We get excited about this because it is so transformational. And we see such results in our clients. Our clients are leaning into the work and their income is increasing. I mean, I think about my client who was stuck in a job that she was very good at a high-level corporation, very successful CEO, did not like it though. Mm-hmm. She could never unplug. She could never get off the treadmill. She was on the path to burnout. And through the process of the diamond transformation, she has been able to move across country and step into a new role that she's flourishing in, she's thriving in, she loves, she's creating that reality that she wants to create. So it may seem like a simple thing just to say, hey, setting my vision, setting my intention. Oh, it is powerful. Will you lean into that power, Alex Leanne?
Well, we speak about, right, the why that'll make you cry, right? Why we do what we do is fueled by why we do it. And when we work with clients like that to really create context and real clear visual on not only what it is that you want, but why you want it, not a surface level why, right? Not the first response that comes to you when people say, why do you want that? It's really taking you 7, 8, 9 layers deep until the point. And yeah, the reality is usually we get you to the point of crying because we're tapping into the emotion. We're getting real connected with really what's in your heart, right? Yes. What really truly is important to you. And one thing I notice when working with clients and doing this process is a lot of the first answers are very much about giving, because we know you're a giver. We know you're about creating impact. We know about the impact you want to create on the world and the difference you want to make. But underneath this, there's also what, quote unquote, maybe a selfish reason, right? Or something that you want for your family or for your children or for, I hear a lot of words, the legacy, like the legacy you want to leave, and really connecting with that. And when we lean into what you want and really asking yourself, like, what do I want? What do I want, right? What do I want my day to look like? What do I want my week to look like? What do I want my month to look like? My year to look like? And really get context around that so that you can literally play the video in your head as if it's already happened, right? We're in the present tense. It's already happened. It's already taken shape, right? We are teaching our brain that the goal, the dream, what it is that we want to create is now our new safe and familiar to our brain. And we're going to connect on the emotional level of why this is important so that we can lean into the next step, which is commitment. So on the days that maybe you don't feel motivated, on the days that seem a little more difficult than others, because reality is those days happen, you're real clear on what's important to you and why it's important to you. And that is what drives your motivation and your focus to be able to then get into action, because you're looking at the commitment that you've made to this intention that you set to then lean into what oftentimes will feel uncomfortable, because of the brain wanting to keep you in safe and familiar, which is where you want to create. Now, for those of you that are visual, I like to lean into this in terms of what your intention is what's on the other side of a box. So where you currently are right now is you're in a box. And what is it you want to create? Your goals, your dreams, your vision, that's on the other side of the box. And your brain is wired to keep you in that box, what's safe and familiar. And so any resistance, any internal dialogue, right? The inner critic about going after that bigger goal, that bigger dream is naturally going to come up to keep you safe from where you are. And we spoke on our day one of the event about, this, I think I call it like, you really want some calm and you're just kind of floating in the middle of a river. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you get these massive rapids that totally like almost rock you out of the boat. And those rapids is your environment. The rapids is actually what's surrounding you. So the power of what we help our clients inside the Diamond Transformation with our Diamond Transformation method is being able to support you to help you get back to that calm when outside of you might feel really chaotic, right? All the external negative chatter that you might hear, people not supporting you, not believing that you can do it, being able to keep you in an environment that you are setting yourself up for success and that you are surrounded by others that believe in you and that hold your dreams high in those moments that maybe are more difficult and you don't feel that you can do it, because we all have those days. But having that support system and those around you that can hold you up and hold your dreams high for you and keep them there for you is so powerful to be able to support you. And combination of the brain work to activate your brain for the success that you get to create.
Yeah, I love that. And we are going to talk about the commitment piece and the action piece. But I do want to loop back to what you said about the vision, about activating our brain again. Many of you high achievers out there like us have had vision boards, and vision boards are so powerful. But one of the things we love to share is how to make a vision board 3D or 4D, I will say, how to make it come to life and really clear. And in setting your intention and setting your vision, make sure that you're using all 5 senses. Make sure that you're adding texture and detail about that environment, about the atmosphere. Who are you surrounded by? What's the temperature? Are you inside or are you outside? Taking these things and using them to paint that picture for your brain really makes the vision and what you want come to life. And then getting to those deeper layers of why is a big part of it, and getting to the emotion. And like Alex said, it is about being selfish in the fact that we are paying ourselves first. We're putting ourselves first because you can't operate when your cup's empty. It's about filling that cup up and keeping it going strong. It's not about ego. It's about being able to operate from that full and abundant place, not from a place of scarcity and lack. And as we look at the next step of commitment, Alex, what do you find so powerful about the commitment and the focus that's needed for that?
I think, honestly, it's that we lean into something that doesn't get spoken about, right? Because a lot of times we hear out there, okay, sure, you've got your vision, you've got your goals, and then you lean into hustle. You lean into the to-do list, right? And what we want to invite you to do is we want to basically ask you to put the to-do list on upside down and really focus on who you get to be as a person. Really leaning into the be, do, have, and acknowledge that, and we say this with our clients all the time, you get to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, because commitment is not comfort. Commitment is you being willing to show up and do things that you may have never done before. It's being willing to be open and vulnerable and receive feedback and being coachable and open to changing the way you've done things up until now. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So if you have not created right now what you want to create, It means that it requires you to look at doing things differently, but not just the things differently. It may require you to slow down and speed up. It might require you, instead of you starting your day looking at your to-do list, starting your day with connecting with your intention, your commitment, and who you get to be in that day to then get into action. And not just the easy action because our brain likes to look for quick wins. Our brain likes to look for the easy reward. No, leaning into those high value tasks that will really move the needle forward, right? Forgetting about the to-do list and really looking at executing on the strategic priorities. And even to be able to get clarity on those strategic priorities, that requires you to also slow down. And so it's getting out of that reactive mode of just showing up and living day in and day out on this autopilot and really take a moment to pause, which is uncomfortable for a high achiever. We hear you. Really getting connected again with that vision, leading into the commitment, getting some clarity on what your priorities really truly are and really what is going to help you accelerate your profits, your results, your productivity.
Yeah. It reminds me of one of our clients that she shared the best story. She was wanting to make a presentation for her work, and she knew that this was what was needed to propel her business forward. And she'd even gone so far as to hire the place, hire the caterer. But the hilarious story about her busy action rather than moving the needle forward was she said, "Here I am again, cleaning out the lint behind the dryer." Now, it's not that the lamp behind the dryer doesn't need to be cleaned out sometime, but this was not what was going to help her give the presentation that she was scheduled for that would actually move her business forward. And this is what we're talking about. When we're talking about the to-do list, we're talking about all of those things that aren't being intentional with the commitment to move the needle forward and get you on a consistent path where you're not going forward and backward and checking all your emails instead of doing the presentation, doing the things that are going to actually help you to get to where you want to go. And so when we talk about setting ourselves up for success, when we talk about winning our day, it's these simple actions that really teach our brain, train our brain how to be successful, how to help us to move forward. And we go a lot deeper in the complete process. And I want to tell you, it is not 21 days. That is a complete and total myth, right? And 21 days will set you up with a new habit, but it won't keep you there. You'll still be on the start and stop cycle. And we can speak into that more later.
We recorded our podcast actually two weeks ago. We did a podcast and we dove into the myth of the 21-day myth.
21-day myth is so powerful. That 21 days we're told all the time. That is great marketing, but it is not neuroscience. And the neuroscience is very simple. Everything that we're talking about is all about simplicity because we high achievers want to complicate things and it doesn't have to be complicated. It's actually doable. That's why there are really successful people in the world, the people who are living the lives that we are hoping to attain to. I don't know who your mentors are, but it's good to have those mentors around us and to put ourselves in the atmosphere and in the environment of those who are doing the things that we're wanting to do and surrounding ourselves with that. And so what commitments are you making today? What kind of focus are you honing in on? This is where breaking it down, making it simple in these small changes, bringing big results, 15-minute actions, keeping it really small, help keep us out of the complication zone and help keep us from getting flooded from those neurochemicals that are our brain keeping us safe. So we're checking the lint behind the dryer instead of making the presentation that will move that will move our needle forward, that will move our business forward. Yeah. So what's the next step in this, Alex? What do we need to do next? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, we want to get you into action, right? And as you gave the example there, Carol, around checking the lint behind the dryer, which might take 5 minutes, and putting a presentation together, which might take several hours, your brain is going to look at that big task and feel potentially overwhelmed, maybe wonder, where do I start? You're like, oh my goodness, I can't do this. And you start to go in this whole rabbit lane of all the internal dialogue around this presentation when clearly, I mean, if you weren't qualified to do it, you wouldn't be asked to do it, right? You can go through all those things and we can go down that route. But to understand that what your brain does with that moment of this massive task is it kind of does shut down and feel overwhelmed. And when you feel like, because your brain is wired for reward, it's going to look for a reward, which is why you find yourself figuring out the lint, because you still feel like you should be doing something.
It's an instant reward.
Yeah. So one of the biggest, I don't know if I lean into the mistakes, but it's just how we're kind of taught and sort of thing. If we feel like when we look at our to-do list, we have all the things written out that need to be done, right? Put this presentation together, do the laundry, wash the dishes, right? But putting together a presentation is quite massive. And what we want to support you, and we lean into this, even as we spoke about how to increase your wealth in 50 minutes or less on last week's episode, is looking at your task and really asking yourself, okay, put together this presentation. What do different 50-minute tasks look like to create this? So it's a big thing about our brain always wants to create this massive presentation, but it's to be able to pause and really brainstorm and write down everything that comes to mind involved in putting a presentation together, right? I mean, as simple as I need to open up Canva or PowerPoint or Google Slides, and that's a step. But we don't think about those steps. We just automatically go to, I need to build this big presentation and I need all of these hours to do it. And then you're not setting yourself up for success because your brain needs those brain breaks, right? You can really only optimally, arguably, maybe the 2 hours, 3 hours really max. But ideally is you really want to function in these 50-minute tasks and every 45 minutes take a break as much as possible and be able to celebrate the progress you're making.
Yeah.
But your brain wants to keep you safe. So if you've never put a presentation like this together before, your brain is going to automatically release the chemicals to create this overwhelm, to lean into procrastination, all the self beat up and all the self doubt of, oh my goodness, am I the right person? Why was I chosen? And you end up spending all this time in your mind with all the mind inner critic going on versus getting into action. And that's the power of being able to break it down to these 15-minute tasks. And I call it gamifying your to-do list or gamifying your action step by using sticky notes, right? Yeah. You get your sticky note, write all the tasks down, and then it's fun. Let's see if I know we're recording this on video and got the podcast, but I have a little jar and you can, take your step and put in the jar. And now your brain can visually see the progress you've made. So when you feel like it's just completing the presentation together, which would technically be one check mark, you've actually broken the task down into multiple steps. And now at the end of the day, you've actually completed 6 things, which is really powerful because your brain likes to dismiss the progress you've made. And I don't know how many times we speak with our clients and they're like, we've got this big project. And we find out they're actually 50% of the way there, but they don't see it because there's no way to measure it. This is what we spoke about last week, right? Yeah. What you measure grows, right? They see and they actually like, oh my goodness, I made way more progress than I realized. And it's a lot easier to finish 50% than sometimes to start at 100%. So I know I get excited about this because I really dive in because this is a lot of it's the neuro productivity hacks of this, right?
Yeah. And these things are actually so important for when we're in leadership, when we're the CEOs of our lives and our businesses, when we have big visions and big dreams. It's so counterintuitive for us to take these steps to break things down. But these steps of setting yourself up for success with the intention, that vision piece, with the commitment, being focused, being out of the distraction, again, breaking it down, and then being able to take that courageous action, that key piece where this is where we lean in and we give ourselves permission. We give ourselves permission, especially to do it messy, to do it anyway, because done is always better than perfect. And this is where we can start to give up in the small ways, in the obstacles we face, in the commitments we haven't kept to ourselves. Because every time you're not keeping a commitment to yourself, you're beginning to not trust yourself. That eats away to your confidence and your capability to do these things. So a part of these step-by-step pieces are the ways to move forward and be okay with getting it done, with breaking it down, deciding in advance, right? That's a big part of that intention commitment, to decide in advance what we're going to do based on what we want, based on why we want it. And as Alex was saying, to have those markers, that ability to congratulate ourselves and see the progress we're making along the way, to start to build in being present, to build in the joy. Because what if today is your last day? We don't know. This is why we don't want you to sit around and wait. We don't want to sit around and wait. We don't want to be living that life of default. Yeah, hard things happen. We all have hard stories, but you get to have these tools, these really simple, possible, achievable tools to do things in a new way, with the way your brain works, to make that consistent action for that total success picture where you're not leaving parts of yourself that matter behind. Yeah, that's an important piece here. And when we give ourselves permission to take this kind of action, then and do it messy, it removes the guilt of, oh, I made this commitment and I didn't keep it. No, it completely gets rid of that because you did keep it. You didn't worry any longer that it wasn't perfect. And having those big picture dreams and goals is important. We are not about playing small or holding back. It's about how we get there. And instead of looking at the whole thing all the time, looking at the complication, we're taking it down and giving ourselves permission to take that messy, courageous action that actually causes us to grow and succeed.
Because it's really the power of your brain and what's going on internally in your subconscious plays such a role in the results that you create. 90 to 95, and some research says 97% of the results you create come from your subconscious mind, come from the thoughts, beliefs that are running on autopilot, that come from your environment, that come from your childhood, that come from how you were brought up, how the things you heard when you went to school.
Culture. Yeah.
And so when you understand this, and this is the thing that was a game changer for Carol and I, when you combine the neuroscience with the principles of wealth and principles of productivity, you are really activating your brain for the success that you want to create, right? You can apply every principle of wealth out there and every productivity hack out there in the world, but it ultimately comes down to activating your brain for the success that you want to create and neurohacking your brain for that success so that you don't end up burning out over and over and over again. Because that's what we see with their clients that tend to find themselves constantly burning out. It's, they change the thing that they're doing, but it's not about the thing that they're doing. It's about the operating system, the person behind it all, and about their thoughts and the beliefs and how they're showing up. So when we lean into taking messy action, we know firsthand how uncomfortable that can be for a high achiever because you want it to look good, right? You don't want to be judged or criticized or rejected. It's got to look a certain way because, well, what will people think about me if it's not? And we're here because we know how those types of beliefs and thoughts, and by operating rate, that will really hold you back. They keep you playing small. They keep you having to pull these all-nighters, staying up till late in the night, trying to, perfect this and perfect that. When you can lean into doing it messy, looking at fail as the first attempt in learning, and just taking imperfect, doing it messy, right? And just putting it out there, it helps you gain evidence for your brain that putting something out there, even if in your mind it doesn't look perfect, and realizing that nothing happened, right? Because that's what it is. Your brain's operating from fear of what's going to happen if it goes out there when it's not perfect. But when you can start to build the muscle and that trust in doing it messy and taking action and just getting into action, the momentum that you create and the results that you create, and then the compound interest of how this all stacks up in creating your results. And then the more that you can get into action, right, the more that you start to increase your time, because you start to see, I can do this, more quickly. I'm connected to my intention and what the experience gets to be. And you start to be able to detach yourself from what the end product means about you and what the outcome means about you, because you're committed to the outcome and that intention that you set. And it means that you're willing to be committed and doing whatever it takes to then create that, which might mean doing something more than once. And that's okay. Because, I was going to say practice makes perfect, perfect, but it's practice, right?
Yeah. That intention, commitment, and action is really a game changer. Absolutely a game changer in order for you to be able to increase your productivity and wealth without the burnout. It's off the hustle bus. It's breaking it down, making it really simple. And, what makes it actionable. And Alex, Leanne, this just reminds me of, the story we've talked about earlier about how when a high-level gymnast, I was in the gymnastics world, wants to throw a challenging skill like a front flip on the beam. When you're a gymnast first learning that, it's a blind landing. And part of the way that you attain that skill is not by jumping on the beam and just throwing it outright. You are breaking it down so that it can be done according to the laws of physics and accomplished successfully, sustainably, safety. Now, you may be a little tyke who's ready to go out there and get on the beam. I've seen that happen and just throw, but what happens in that case is it's not sustainable. It's that start-stop cycle. It has to be broken down into the attainable steps in order for it to be sustainable over the long term. So this is about getting you those quick wins, those motivations, the reward that our brain wants, stopping and experiencing the joy. And as you move forward with your intention, your commitment, and your action, really getting you to that higher level picture by taking these steps. So we're super excited that you have joined us today. And if you have caught this and you have not subscribed to us, please subscribe. This means the world to us. It helps us to show up on the platforms and reach more people with the information that is beneficial for us with the way our brains actually work. We are excited about not leaving you hanging, but bringing you these actionable steps that you can take and start to put to work right now. And you also can see in the show notes, we have a link that you can jump on a call with us to talk to us about the Diamond Transformation Program, whether it's the right fit for you. And we are happy to lean in and bring you the value of looking at where you are, helping you to have the implementation, the strategy that you want to have to get going. And I'm pretty sure we have an amazing guide in there too on productivity and wealth that you can grab in addition to being able to jump on a call with us, right?
We have we have our productivity and wealth, our top productivity and wealth secrets that'll help you increase 2 hours of your day while you create wealth along the way. So we invite you to grab that and join us weekly and jump on a call to find out if the Diamond Transformation is is the right fit for you, and seeing what learning about the neuroscience can do to really support you in increasing your productivity. Now, I know that we always like to leave our listeners with an action item. And what I was thinking about, Carol, is you mentioned really quickly about a question earlier. And I thought, let's loop back to that. And you said to everybody, imagine today was your last day. Like, imagine today was your last day, and how would you want to spend it? Because a lot of times when you really get connected with that question, you're going to have a lot revealed in terms of what's important to you and where your priorities are.
Yeah.
And if you want to get connected and look at how do you now get to take whatever comes up for you and create that reality, that's where Carol and I are there to support you in using the neuroscience process combined with the principles of productivity and wealth to help you create that reality.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll see you next week. Join us again. We'll bring you more great info. Ciao for now. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Unleashed Unstoppable podcast with your hosts, Alexandra Carter and Carol Register.
If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review and subscribe.
That's all for this episode, Wildly Ambitious Leaders. See you next week.